Hello, everybody. This is Colt, your host and owner and founder of Oklahoma Tornado Database, and I would like to welcome you all to the first ever official Oklahoma Tornado Database podcast. This is the first of many, and on a name, we're actually going to give you the power to suggest names for this primary podcast. I want to introduce ourselves to you as best I can without making it confusing. What we are is a live coverage source, which means we cover outbreaks, we cover tornadoes, we cover the aftermath, before, during, after. All of that is our cup of tea when it comes to reporting, but only for the state of Oklahoma. We are also a database. We take tornadoes from a variety of different sources, not just the National Weather Service logs or local newspapers, but a variety, and tweet out usually at least one tornado per day that has happened on the date. We also cover things from a slightly unique historical perspective. We're proud to be very original in what we do on that, and that we always go fact check and try to gather as much information as we can before we run with a lead. So sometimes we can become very specific with what we're talking about. We've been around since 2018 on X and other social media platforms as OK Tornado DB. Our mission is pretty much just everything I've explained. We want to educate, empower, save lives, and be of assistance when we can. The most recent example of that would probably be responding to the Barnsdall tornado to help with the search for victims. We were requested to come up and do that. I personally come from a history and IT background. I am a chaser. The other guys come from emergency management and engineering backgrounds. Some have GIS backgrounds. So it's all a nice little mixture to kind of create the perfect recipe for what we aim to do on a daily basis. We have had many popular projects. One is Project Enio, and what it is an effort to name every Oklahoma tornado victim and tell their story. I know back in, I think it was January or December, somebody tried to cause issue because Tornado Talk thought along the same lines and wanted to do it nationally. Jen and I have spoken. There's no animosity from either side there. We started back in 2008 under a different name. Believe it or not, on MySpace and Bebo doing this, and unfortunately more people have tragically been cut down by these storms since then here in Oklahoma, and we just want to honor these people, as I've talked about on an appearance on Chaser Chat. If there's a terrorist attack, if there's a shooting, if there's a fire, we usually go out and honor those people. And sometimes it doesn't always work out that way with tornadoes, even in Oklahoma. There's victims from Snyder and Woodward that we've identified their names and handed it over to the correct people to kind of get it in the official log of information with historical societies and stuff. We actually work with historical societies a lot. Another great project we worked on was the June 8th, 1974 50th anniversary. Mike Morgan and I were live from the Drumright Museum, and Mike Smith joined us via remote from Kansas, and we dissected the day, gave people some previously untold stories, and honored the responders, the victims, the survivors, and all those affected as best we could. Upcoming events, obviously, we've got some documentaries on the slate. Bridge Creek, Barnsdall, Drumright, just a plethora of who is who in the Oklahoma tornado world. A lot of people wonder about page access. I'm actually sitting here looking at the notes, so let's get that out of the way. Page access, as of right now, only I have access to OK Tornado DB, and we're probably going to leave it that way. I laid some staff members off back, including some co-founders back in 2022 during debates and stuff that I thought were inappropriate to be engaging in. We're adults. We don't need to argue with edgelords, trying to be cool and take away from the devastating nature of these. Anything we say, we've got facts to back it up. So I really got just as disappointed in my own staff as I did the people who were starting those debates, starting those issues. We try to keep it a drama-free zone here, but as some might know, that's not always possible because we do have our haters. I guess people have reading comprehension problems, a select few, a little minority there. They're not the majority of people on X. They cannot understand that Oklahoma tornado database is going to be about Oklahoma tornadoes, I guess. And that's not me being a smartass, it's just there's no better way to put that. We've dealt with a lot, right up to libel and everything else, trolls, you name it. We've dealt with morons at our keister since this started. The very first one was probably 3 weeks after the page was opened. It was pretty quick, and it was something absolutely ridiculous, but as time went on, I learned that things could be worse in terms of what people said and did out of anger, jealousy, whatever the case may be. But I personally strive, I have too many working relationships to keep up. I want people to know that they can trust our brand, because they always have in the past. Right up until, a couple of weeks ago, we were still getting messages from people who said, hey, my aunt lives in Oklahoma, or my parents, or my brother, or my sister, whatever, or my significant others working in Oklahoma, and they need clarification sometimes, more so than what is offered by legacy media, and not everybody follows NWS Tornado or like accounts for blow-by-blow information. So we retweet warnings, watches, tornado emergencies, all the like, and when there's a lot going on, the fact that we find time to address it all at the same time and keep that information up to date has been something that people have lauded us for. And I'm really proud of that. Nobody was really doing that to that extent on social media when we came along. And being from the backgrounds that we're from, we were able to specifically kind of jump right into that element of it, because we've worked with emergency management before. You talk about a feeling when you're responsible for a town being able to activate its sirens with a dangerous storm oncoming. That's a nice feeling. We obviously have a lot to offer, but sometimes it's been a crapshoot to try to figure out how we were going to make this media available. And you've probably heard both my dogs in the background. Just expect a lot of that. We're a dog family here. So you're probably going to hear Selena and Nikita from time to time on these podcasts. I promise on the documentary stuff, though, that would be very unprofessional, so we will not be doing that. The most recent project that we have decided to start inching towards is a live database, which will be on our own personal website. We've been working on it, trying to get the code. She's howling to a song. We try to get the codes and stuff out to people who can handle it and help us establish the map and the, I guess you would say, UI that we're kind of aiming for. It's not really a user interface, because all you do is hover over a dot and it will show you a picture and tell you, what was going on that day in Oklahoma with that specific tornado. We are going to be open for questions from here on out, but right now, this being the first one and us wanting to surprise you with it, we didn't really open up a forum to questions. We did earlier this morning on the page, but I digress. Obviously, everybody has the right to their own opinions. You may not always agree with ours, and we will not always agree with yours. That's the beauty of living in the United States, is you can have differing opinions, and I will say we do root all of our opinions and hypothesis in fact. So we're not ever going to try to dress something up and offer it to you on a platter and say this is more than what it was. I've always kind of hated that side of this, or detested it, I guess is the better way to put it. I know a lot of people have asked in the past what the most requested or sought after topic is on the database, and it's a consensus between all of us that it is May 3rd. We choose to kind of cover what gets people talking and what people want to learn the most about, which we cover everything in between, but some people have ignorantly taken issue in the past with our quote-unquote over-coverage of certain events. There's really no such thing. If you come from a history background like I do, you cannot over-cover an event. That's like saying you're an Oklahoma Tornadoes page, and over-covering Bridge Creek is like saying that, you're a military history page that overcovers World War I or World War II. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing that I think deep down people know who have issue with that. I think it stems from jealousy. What we're not going to do is we're not going to call out people. We're never going to apologize for being us either. Me specifically, I think that a lot of people have a lot of maturing to do in the weather community, and that's what happens when you have people across all different age groups, generations, different income brackets, different ideologies, you name it, and it's literally a melting pot all of its own. And sometimes you get people from out of state coming here and doing things that people in Oklahoma make us aware of, and then they expect us to kind of help them out with it, which is what we're here for. That said, we all have lives outside of this. I have a son, a wife, my quote-unquote day job. I have that. I have people that I have to help take care of. I have pets. I have a social life. I have friends. I can't stay glued to a laptop screen 24/7 and find pointless things to argue with people about. You will never see us go onto somebody else's post and argue with them about an opinion they're stating or the content they're producing. I do think there are bad content creators out there in the weather community, but it's mainly 2 to 4 people. There are a lot of great content creators out there, which I've recommended before, and I think without them we would be a lot more prone to letting some things fall to the wayside on not just the meteorological side of things, but on the public safety side and on the historical side as well. We don't engage in politics. That is not exactly our forte. We do have political opinions, like all do, but we keep them to ourselves and would never aim to try to make this a political page, nor would we aim to try to make it a hype page. We want to give you quick, reliable, and fast information when it comes to evolving severe weather threats, and when it comes to history, we want to educate and empower you to go out and, explore, learn for yourself. I've had hundreds of people by now in the last 7 years message me, hey, how can I do this for my state? And believe it or not, here in just a second, I'm going to tell you how you can do this for your state. That said, we would like it if you didn't use the database name, because that is our thing. We have most of the popular tornado states registered accounts for those in case we want to take it nationally or something, and can get admins to do that, which on that point, if you think there is a state you would like to cover and you would like to reach out to me, I'm Colt again, the owner and founder. If you'd like to reach out to me and get something set up to where we could work together, I would be more than willing to let you use that handle, that account, and promote you and help you do the same thing I do for Oklahoma for that state that you choose. It's not a competition in my book. But, as I said, here in just a second, I will tell you how to do it. If you want to go out on your own and do it, I'll give you examples of some of the materials that you can lean on, etc. But first, I want to address the elephant in the room, which is the upcoming severe weather this week. Then, coming next week. I think, there are opportunities for Oklahoma to see storms. But one thing I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a meteorologist, and I've never claimed to be. Some people claim to be historians when they're taking meteorology or engineering classes. That's not how it works. And I'm not a hypocrite, so I don't do forecasts. But what I will say is my personal take and seeing the data is there's a chance for Oklahoma to be included in that severe weather threat this coming week. Now, back to how you can do this for your own page. First, you want to pick the state. I would launch it on a day that is notorious in that state's history for one tornado or an outbreak or something. I would go find people who are willing to let you use their materials, or find public domain material if you are wanting to make money off of it, which we don't. If you don't want to make money off of it, you can use fair use, but you still need to be careful not to ruffle feathers. You need to respect people's content rights, obviously. Then I would go to local NWS databases, NOAA, Tornado Archive, and such sites, and start to gather information. And I would get a calendar, and I would either pre-write the post, or I would write down the rating, the more important, I guess you would say, all of the important information, like how many people it affected, path length, etc. Rating, as I mentioned, and then the year. And you want to jot all that down and have it ready to go, and then you just create the post. Granted, I'm going to tell you it takes a lot of hard work. This went live in 2018, but we have been going since pre-2008, believe it or not. I mentioned Bebo and MySpace. I know when the Pitcher tornado happened and people started posting, and even Greensburg, even though we're not in Kansas, and people started posting their blogs and their photos and stuff on MySpace, which a lot of that is lost media now, I may add. But when they started posting all of that in 2007, 2008, that kind of showed us the potential for networking with online historical societies and databases. We have worked with all sorts of people to get where we're at. And to be trusted, we've had to be accurate with our information. You don't build the audience that we have by being scrubs. So that's why I find the trolls aggravatingly humorous. It's like half of them are jealous of the follow count or something, which it's not even about the follow count with us. Or maybe they're just jealous because, hey, we get to live in the Super Bowl of severe weather here in Oklahoma. I don't know. I don't even want to pretend to be in their minds. So that went a little bit off tangent there, but the main point is that you want to build a network. We've been asked to provide this service ourselves for other states individually, or just for the United States in general. I had an admin for US Tornado DB, but he quit because of cyberbullying. I don't have to tell you who. You can probably figure that out if you are diligent enough to do your homework on X. But yeah, and then the next thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to, if you're going to go for the real-time stuff, you're going to want to have a little command center set up where you have access to all of your local media, you have access to scanners, you have access to maps, a second computer probably, and a tablet is how I do it. Along with obviously your phone, because you want to use your phone as your handset to tweet from. You want to go follow NWS Tornado, and anything that comes out that is fresh for your state, you want to instantly retweet that. If you want to make notes, you can quote tweet, and that is the best way to keep your constituents safe. Trying to think, there was one other major point to it I wanted to let you. Oh yeah, I would obviously invest in a decent hard drive or a place to store data, and I would make my own notes about it. And as you confirm or gather new information, I would go and I would update it. That's the whole epitome of what a database is supposed to be. And that is what we are. This is all very much researched and honed in on and curated. We don't just do this off the fly or go copy it from somewhere and paste it. And the longer you go, you'll find chasers that are willing to help you out. You'll find people that are willing to do interviews, people who are willing to open up family albums and stuff to you. It's been an amazing journey for the most part for us. I wouldn't change it for anything. I would pre-block some people and I wouldn't give second and third chances to others. But the most important thing is to make sure that you feel like you're making a difference, one, and then two, don't ever let it consume you to where it makes you lose your passion for this. You really do need to have a passion. Because this isn't like creating funny videos on TikTok. Yeah, a lot happens organically, but especially on the real-time end of things, but that's almost exclusively organic. But in terms of past historical events, you have to do your research and you have to be willing to put in the effort because you don't want to half it, for lack of a better term. You want to, if you're going to do it, go all in on it. Make sure that you get your points across, that you honor the subject material and the people involved. That said, if you're wanting to do what I mentioned first and you would like to become part of our network, all you have to do is send me a message on X. That will about wrap it up for today's inaugural show. As I said, questions can be submitted on X. We'll probably leave a questions post up pinned to the top of the page. And we hope you all have had an enjoyable listen. Sorry if we went off tangent a couple of times, but we had a lot to cover today. So make sure to set your dials and tune in for next week, and we'll see you on the other side.